The Federalist Sean Davis reporting new questions are being asked whether James Clapper lied in his hearing before the House Intel Committee back in July 2017. Davis reporting that in Clapper's testimony, he denied ever briefing President Barack Obama on those phone calls between General Flynn and the Russian ambassador Kislyak. James Comey and Andrew McCabe contradict him. Comey testified in March of 2017 Clapper did brief Obama on the calls. He said this, quote, in the first week of January, he, Clapper, briefed the president and vice president and then President Obama's senior team about what we found and what we had seen to help them understand why Russians were reacting the way they did. In his book, McCabe shared Comey's recollection on the Flynn-Kislyak phone calls. He said this, an analyst shared it with me, I shared it with Comey, Comey shared it with the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper. Clapper verbally briefed it to President Obama. Wow. Joining us now, James Kallstrom, former Assistant Director of the FBI. He served nearly 30 years with the Bureau. And Jim, it's great to see you. Let's start with, who do you believe in that triangle?
I don't believe any of them. They're all full. I mean, Lou, we've been talking about this for almost 3 years, right? Along with the members of Congress and the few people that have the right story here. It's just an absolute outrage what's going on here, and it continues to go on. Now, thank God that we have an Attorney General that's, I think and I believe, is going to see this to the right end. You know, we're going to deal with Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Baker, Page, Brennan, Clapper, Yates, Mueller, assorted DOJ officials and White House staff. And what did they do? You got criminal leaks of classified information in violation of the Espionage Act. You got conspiracy to obstruct justice, conspiracy to deny civil rights to the president, to Carter, to General Flynn and all others, conspiracy to defraud the U.S. FISA court, conspiracy to obstruct congressional proceedings, perjury, false statements. And those are just to name a few, Lou, of things that we've cataloged and we're 99% sure of could bring a prosecutable case into these charges with these people and probably many others. We haven't even touched the base of a lot of other things that we've talked to over the years.
Yeah, it is a wide canvas of corruption, political corruption at the highest levels of the FBI, the Justice Department. It pervaded the top of various intelligence agencies as well, the intelligence community itself, the Director of National Intelligence under considerable scrutiny now. Do you believe it reaches all the way to the White House?
I believe it does, sure. You know, I don't know how much of it does, but without question, there's knowledge there, and there are instructions given down the chain. That stupid email that the director of what's her name sent to herself, 15 minutes after President Trump was sworn in. Yeah. I mean, that's just a crazy story. And then we've got Wray. I mean, we've got Comey, who was just an totally inept FBI director and crooked cop. And then you got Wray, who's asleep at the switch. He hasn't done a thing. And we know now that he's, hasn't brought any of this stuff to bear that we became aware of in the last 2 weeks. He needs to step down or be relieved of his duties. He hasn't done the job. To make matters worse.
And the Attorney General, somewhat surprisingly, expressing support for Christopher Wray. By the way, I said Sally Yates. It's Susan Rice. I believe you're referring to from that Oval Office meeting. Your thoughts about the Attorney General's voicing support then for Wray, as he has, in point of fact, blocked a lot of transparency, and the public's right to know hasn't been exactly high on his agenda in any issue.
I don't know what that is. It might be a matter of timing, might be a matter of waiting for other shoes to fall. I don't know. But I mean, I do know one thing. There's been an absolute lack of leadership, throughout the government. There's a few people that stand up and say the right things, like yourself and others, And but without leadership, you're not going to have results. And I just point out two things that happened with the FBI to just point out the fact that the place is out of control. You know, you got the investigations of
30 seconds, Jim. I'm sorry.
Well, Roger Stone and Paul Manafort. I mean, look at those two people. White collar crime, supposedly white collar crime. 40 agents, SWAT teams, automatic weapons, helicopters, 4 o'clock in the morning, wives in bed, you know, people banging down the doors. I mean, that's not what the FBI does. And that's not what anybody that leads the FBI should ever let happen. So, I mean, what kind of a leadership do we have in the FBI? We know what we had with Comey, and I'm afraid to say we got the same thing with Wray, in my view.
Jim Kallstrom, always telling it straight. We appreciate you doing so. Great to see you again, my friend. James Kallstrom, stay with us. We'll be